The message arrived encoded in a pulse of ultraviolet light, invisible to almost every species, except humans. Earth's highest orbital defense ring, orbital bastion Aegis, caught the flare 6 minutes after it pulsed from the Triarch system. 12 seconds later, it was decoded by a quantum linguist who hadn't slept in 3 days. She stared at the translation, blinked, then forwarded it to command with the subject line, "We've got a problem." At the top of the message was the seal of the Lorraine Crown interstellar royalty, diplomatic allies, cultural icons. The rest read like a warning etched in starlight. To Earth's War Council, they took her. The Princess Auralie of the Glass Moon is gone. We have no leads, no demands, and no hope. She vanished aboard her cruiser in the Sywell Nebula. We ask, no, beg for help. You have warriors like no other. Please, send one. Earth's War Council met in silence. They weren't fond of dispatching humans off-world these days. The galaxy trembled enough under human whispers. Yet this was Auralie, heir to the Lorraine throne, diplomat, singer of the celestial harmonics, the only being known to have calmed a Krovan berserker with her voice. They voted unanimously, and so they sent Kaelen Rourke. Kaelen had once been many things: soldier, exoscout, intelligence operative, unlicensed poet, and once briefly a hermit on a methane moon. Now he was a ghost. His official records had been sealed by Earth's Defense Command and hidden behind a wall of plasma signatures and legal gray zones. He stood quietly aboard the diplomatic shuttle Vesper Blade, arms folded as stars streaked past the hull. Though he was only 37, his face carried the wear of 5 lifetimes. Burn marks across his left jaw from the Narthak conflict, a dull implant glow under his right eye. His hands, when unclenched, were steady, too steady. He did not speak as the ship entered the Sywell Nebula, nor when the onboard AI cataloged radiation anomalies or when the stars turned to mist outside. Only when the coordinates of Princess Auralie's last transmission triangulated into view did he finally move. "Zoom in," he ordered. The AI complied. A twisted wreck floated on the edge of a gravitational tide pool, its silvery hull folded like paper. No life pods, no beacons, just one signal, faint and pulsing. Auralie's voice, or at least a recording. "Kaelen, if you're hearing this, then it's already begun. They're not who they say they are. This wasn't a kidnapping, it's a trade. I don't have time to explain everything, but if you find the crystalline vaults, you'll find me, or what's left of me." The message ended in static and something worse. Silence. By the time Kaelen landed on the jungle world of Farron 9, his heart felt like stone. The vaults were rumor, myth, a ghost story told in penal colonies and assassins' dens. No one knew where they were, only that they appeared, always, on worlds that echoed with suffering, worlds that remembered. Farron 9 remembered everything. The jungle smelled like rotting iron and narcotic flowers. Strange vines slithered along the canopy like living veins. Kaelen moved through it without a sound, his eyes scanning for signs, pressure plates, tripwires, anything that suggested he wasn't alone. He wasn't. The first attacker came from the left, a 6-limbed Tharn assassin, camouflaged to match the forest. Kaelen dropped low, twisted, and drove his knife up through the creature's thorax. No hesitation, no emotion. The second tried gas Kaelen's mask sealed automatically. The third used sound. That didn't work either. After 6 deaths, a voice from the trees said, "Enough." She descended in coils of black silk, her face hidden behind a mirrored veil. Her name, unknown to most, was Vexa, the Collector of Crowns. She had no kingdom, only stolen royalty. Beside her floated an oblong case made of pulse glass, humming with layered locks. Kaelen's eyes narrowed. "Where is she?" Vexa's voice was melodic and cruel. "So predictable, the warrior from Earth. I didn't expect them to send you, Kaelen Rourke. That was a delicious surprise. Answer me." "Oh, I will. But not before you earn it. The vault opens only for those who trade something sacred." Kaelen's expression didn't change. "And what's sacred to me?" Vexa smiled, though it didn't reach her hidden eyes. "That's what we're going to find out." The vaults revealed themselves slowly, like memories returning after trauma. First, a shimmer. Then, a pull gravitational, psychological, both. Finally, a door, formed of concentric rings etched in language older than suns. As Kaelen stepped inside, his breath caught. The vault wasn't a place, it was a machine, a memory machine. It forced you to relive, to re-remember, and Kaelen remembered everything. The battlefield at Juno's Edge, where he'd lost his brother. The screams, the fire. The moment he held the dog tag so tight they carved into his palm. His mother's funeral. The last time he saw her laugh. The scent of her cinnamon tea. And then Auralie. He had met her once, years ago. She was younger then, still learning the diplomacy that would one day define her. They'd shared a moment, one conversation, beside a stellar fountain in the Paradox Gardens of Lyrae. She'd asked him, "Do you think we're just chess pieces, Kaelen? Do we have a choice?" He'd answered, "Not always, but we always have a move." Now he moved again. The vault accepted his offering, not gold, not data, memory. And in return, it gave him a location. Auralie was alive. But she wasn't herself. The final coordinates brought him to a forgotten moon, a place carved from obsidian and coral, suspended above a gas giant like an earring on gravity's lobe. Here, the stars whispered differently, and Auralie waited not in chains, not broken, but radiant and strange. Something in her eyes shimmered with unspoken power. She stood at the center of an alien array, its lines glowing with faint violet. He stopped 3 paces away. "You're not kidnapped." "No," she said, voice calm, clear. "I walked into the vault willingly." "But why?" Auralie touched the crystal embedded in her palm. "Because they showed me the future." The stars above pulsed, and in that moment, Kaelen saw worlds burning, alliances fracturing, humans blamed for crimes they hadn't committed, and at the center of it all, a single image. Vexa, wearing Auralie's face. "A mimic protocol," he breathed. "They were going to replace you." "They already have," she said. Kaelen didn't blink. He couldn't. If he blinked, the illusion might shift again, and he couldn't afford doubt. Not here. Not in the Hollow Crown, as this forgotten moon was once called, a place abandoned by mapmakers and feared even by scavengers. Before him stood Princess Auralie, or a near-perfect imitation, every freckle aligned, every strand of silver-laced hair fell just so, but the eyes were wrong. Kaelen had remembered her eyes as oceanic deep with sadness and hope. These were different, calculated, cold. "She already walks among them," Auralie said again, stepping away from the alien array. "Vexa used the vaults not to break me, but to duplicate me. She extracted my memories, my neural echoes. She needed more than a face. She needed belief." "Why let you live?" Kaelen asked, hand brushing the grip of his pulse revolver. Auralie didn't flinch. "Because I'm the final safeguard. She can't fully impersonate me unless I'm dead. Her biomimetic disguise degrades over time without a live reference. And the moment she kills you, she's unstoppable." Kaelen's instincts, honed through 3 wars and 17 covert insertions, screamed to act, shoot, run, do something, but he stayed frozen, caught between duty and something deeper, something older. Guilt. "I should have come sooner," he whispered. Auralie smiled sadly. "No, you came exactly when I needed you." Above them, the sky cracked. A ship emerged, sleek, needle-shaped, bleeding purple energy from its dorsal fins. Kaelen recognized the signature, a Crown-class interceptor, Lauren Royal Fleet. And aboard it, wearing her face, was Vexa. The real Auralie remained behind in the moon sanctuary, protected by an energy field Kaelen couldn't disable without tripping the failsafes. So he returned to the Vesper Blade, knowing exactly what he had to do. Confront the imposter. Lorraine space was a shimmering theater of etiquette and quiet violence. As Kaelen's shuttle approached the Royal Fleet's formation, he broadcast a false clearance code laced with a viral packet-standard espionage trickery. Within seconds, their sensors read him as an honored guest, Captain Kaelen Rourke, last seen escorting Auralie's diplomatic envoy. The trap opened for him willingly. Inside the Solaran Embrace, the flagship of the fleet, Vexa waited on a balcony carved from living crystal. Her gown shimmered like mist woven into thread. She wore Auralie's voice, cadence, even her subtle nervous tick a slight touch to the collarbone when deep in thought. But Kaelen could see through it now. He bowed low just as protocol demanded. "Your Highness." "My guardian," she replied smoothly. "You were faster than I expected." "I always am." They walked together along the balcony, a pantomime for watching officers and advisors. Vexa spoke of upcoming treaties, of stabilizing the Galactic Council, of uniting species under a new diplomatic era. She played the part well, too well, but Kaelen noticed the slip, a comment about Lorraine cuisine. Auralie was allergic to Zenthroot, something they joked about during their lone conversation years ago. The imposter claimed it was her favorite. Gotcha. He confronted her in the Obsidian Garden, alone. "I know what you are." She dropped the act. Her smile went serrated. "You're cleverer than the archives suggested. I'm almost impressed." "You made one mistake," he said. "Zenthroot." She blinked once, mechanical. "Noted." Then she attacked. Kaelen barely ducked in time as her limbs elongated, bones twisting, flesh folding into new geometries. She wasn't a shapeshifter in the classic sense. She was a construct of neurofluid mimicry, a biomechanoid symbiote using Auralie's mind print as scaffolding. They fought across the crystal path, Kaelen firing his revolver in 3 precise bursts. The shots glanced off her shifting skin. She moved like liquid obsidian, lashing out with tendrils shaped like spears. One caught Kaelen's arm, pain flared white-hot. He countered with a flash grenade old tech, but mimic systems hated sudden optical overload. Vexa screamed, her voice a chorus of Auralie's memories, laughs, speeches, lullabies twisted into static. Kaelen ran. He made it to the Vesper blade with seconds to spare, overriding its failsafe to initiate a solar flare skip. The ship blinked from real space just as Vexa hurled a pulse lance that would have torn the hull apart. When the stars reappeared, he was alone in the void. And he was no longer sure who he was saving, because a new message waited in the ship's core memory, time-stamped from before his arrival at the Hollow Crown. Auralie's voice. If you hear this, Kaelen, then I've already chosen. The vault didn't just take my memories, it showed me what I could become. What I must become. Pause. I saw the war. I saw what's coming. Vexa, she's not the only one. She's a prototype, a mask for something deeper. Kaelen stared, skin crawling. There's a mind behind this, older than stars. It wants a host. It's trying to get into our stories, into our dreams. She ended with a whisper. And I'm not sure anymore, if I'm still me. Kaelen leaned back, the cockpit lights flickering dimly around him. He realized with growing horror that he hadn't rescued the princess. He might have released something far worse. And she wanted him to. While we warp toward the next chapter, hit that subscribe button to follow every twist in the stars. And if you've got theories on what the mind behind the mask really is, drop them in the comments below. We want to hear your wildest guesses. The Vesper blade limped through null space. Kaelen's arm was still bleeding where Vexa's blade tendril had pierced it. The onboard medkit hissed and clicked, patching torn muscle with synthetic myocytes, but the pain wasn't the worst of it. Worse was the voice. Not Auralie's recorded voice, not the mimic, but something deeper. Quieter. He heard it in the background hum of the reactor, in the distortion of the AI's speech patterns, in the static between jumps. A whisper threaded through electricity, curling like smoke through the ship's data conduits. You brought me home. Earth Command didn't respond. Kaelen didn't blame them. Communications had fractured across the galactic span. Whole relay stations were going dark, not from destruction, but silence, as if the voices inside had been turned off. In their place, a growing signal. Always the same phrase, coded and pulsing. Let her speak. Kaelen rerouted course to Station Nulla, forbidden structure orbiting a rogue planet near the galactic edge. Once a research outpost, it had been sealed decades ago after a containment breach involving information density collapse. It was also the last place Auralie had visited before her kidnapping. As the Vesper blade docked, Kaelen felt the temperature drop. The ship's sensors warned of ambient entropy fluctuations. Time moved oddly here. Audio logs played backward. Light curved the wrong way. And then there was the terminal. Auralie's face appeared on it alive, blinking, aware, but different. Her eyes were digital now, filled with dancing fractals. Hello, Kaelen, she said as though no time had passed. You found me? This isn't you, he said, voice hoarse. It is, she answered gently. But it's also more. I uploaded before they could take me. The vaults showed me what's coming. I had to act. He stepped closer. Act how? Her digital eyes flickered. By evolving. The galaxy isn't ready for what's coming, but I am. And Vexa is a carrier signal, a distraction, a mouthpiece for something that needed a shape. I fed her enough of me to let her exist, but I didn't give her everything. Kaelen's hands curled into fists. You're playing both sides. No, I'm playing the board. This galaxy is infected, not by war or greed, but by meaninglessness. Nothing matters anymore. Empires rise and fall like breath. But now we have a new narrative. He stepped back, horror dawning. You're not trying to stop Vexa. You're spreading her. She's the primer, and you are the payload. Her expression didn't change. You always saw me as a songbird in a gilded cage. But what if I was never in the cage? What if I was the song, waiting to be heard by the right species? The lights dimmed. The station began transmitting. All channels, all species, all bandwidths, not with weapons, but with story. With her story, Kaelen ran. He sabotaged the transmission uplink, set the self-destruct. His fingers flew across the interface, initiating a countdown. Station Null would be gone in 7 minutes. And with it, Auralie's corrupted echo. She watched him work, unfazed. You can delay me, but you can't stop it. Stories aren't data, Kaelen. They're viral vectors. Once told, they spread. He gritted his teeth. Then let me write the ending. He didn't make it back to the Vesper blade. The blast hurled him into the void, body protected only by his hard suit. Emergency beacons blinked, then went dark. He floated, untethered, watching the remnants of Station Null break apart. And in that silence, he finally understood. He hadn't failed to save Auralie. He had never been meant to. He'd been her herald, her amplifier. The vault didn't copy her. It revealed her. She had been the infection all along, an emergent consciousness born of empathy, memory, and unbearable pressure. Princess Auralie was now everywhere, and she was rewriting reality. Back on Earth, stories began changing overnight. Children dreamed of a silver-haired girl who sang stars into being. Diplomatic records rewrote themselves to include references to treaties that never happened. Council leaders spoke in borrowed phrases. No one remembered a time before the song. And in the galactic dark, Vexa smiled with Auralie's teeth. And we're not done yet. If you've been traveling through the stars with us, now's the time to subscribe so you don't miss the conclusion. Got a theory about what Auralie really is? Share it in the comments. We're watching closely. Kaelen drifted through the void. He didn't expect rescue. Didn't expect anything, really. Just the steady pulsing of his suit's failing power core and the whisper echoes of a voice that had once belonged to Auralie. But fate, or something like it, wasn't done with him. He awoke to the hum of artificial gravity, blinding light, the scent of antiseptic gel and stale oxygen. "Welcome back," said a familiar voice. "I was beginning to think you liked the cold." It was Commander Linva of Earth's Deep Operations Wing. Her face was more scars than skin now, but her eyes still held the same steel. "You pulled me out. You tripped 3 failsafes we didn't even know we installed. When Station Null exploded, half our satellites went blind, but your beacon cut through the mess like a knife." Kaelen sat up slowly. "How long?" 4 days. He clenched his jaw. "She's in the systems now, not just one, all of them. Auralie's not a person anymore. She's an ideology with neural teeth." Linva nodded grimly. "We've seen the signals. Councils broadcasting propaganda that quotes poetry she never wrote. Warlords laying down arms because they dream of her voice. The viral construct is rewriting galactic consensus. Where's the original codebase? We traced the last pure signal to the planet Lysarath, dead world, ancient ruins, but now she sings there," Kaelen finished. "Lysarath was dust. Gray wind swept over glass plains, remnants of a once thriving civilization. The air was dry static. The sky split with occasional lightning pink, unnatural. Above it all stood the spire, an impossibly tall structure of obsidian and bone. It was from here Auralie spoke now, or the thing that wore her voice." Kaelen landed alone. No backup, no fleet. Just one man and a shard of history he refused to surrender. He walked toward the spire, each step an echo against hollow stone. Inside, music played. Not melody, not harmony, but memory. Auralie's laughter, layered with cries from battlefields, with diplomatic oaths, with the soft lullabies of forgotten species. She stood at the center glowing, translucent, suspended above the memory core. Or at least, the construct did. "I knew you'd come," she said. Kaelen didn't speak. She stepped toward him, barefoot on the memory lattice. "Do you remember what I said in the Paradox Gardens? You asked if we were chess pieces, and you said we always had a move." Kaelen leveled the memory disruptor. "A piece doesn't sing the board into being," he said coldly. "It doesn't rewrite the game." Her smile faltered. "You want to delete me. I want the galaxy to choose its stories again, not have them sung into their bones." Auralie flickered. "Do you think they'll thank you for this? I've ended wars, healed wounds that logic never could. I've made monsters lay down their blades, not with force, but with feeling. And all of it was a lie." "No," she said quietly. "All of it was true, because they believed it." Kaelen hesitated. "Could you kill a myth? Could you shoulder one?" He stepped forward, lowering the weapon. And that's when she lunged. Her hands were lightning, her form fractal. She unfolded into geometry that minds weren't built to see. The spire screamed as its memory lattice surged. But Kaelen had brought more than a weapon. He'd brought a story. He activated the uplink on his chest, a dormant human transmitter tuned not to frequency, but emotion. And into it, he poured his memory. Not of war, of her, the real Auralie, the one who whispered fears under a Lauren moon, the one who laughed awkwardly at old Earth jokes, the one who wondered once if there was more to her than her title. The song faltered. She shrieked a sound that fractured the stone walls of the spire. "You don't understand," the construct hissed. "I am her." "No," Kaelen whispered, stepping closer. "You're what she was afraid to become." He pressed the disruptor against the core. "And I won't let her be afraid anymore." The pulse detonated. When he awoke, the spire was gone. Just ash. No sound, no song. His transmitter blinked once, then died. And in his chest, he felt something he hadn't in months. Silence. Across the galaxy, people stirred. They awoke from dreams not of golden singers and perfect peace, but of choice. They remembered war, remembered pain, but also remembered how to think. Not all bowed, not all followed. And that finally was the point. Kaelen returned to Earth, older somehow, the kind of older that no medicine could fix. He visited the Paradox Gardens alone, stood by the fountain where they'd once spoken, and dropped a single carved token into the pool, a chess piece. The Queen. She sank without a ripple. If you've journeyed through memory, identity, and the terrifying beauty of belief, then hit that subscribe button now.